Gentleman from Michigan is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. At 3:40 in the morning, I'm a little surprised that some of our colleagues wish to reprise history, but I guess so be it. Some forget here that we passed all 12 appropriation bills in September to no avail. They sit in the Senate requiring 60 votes. I remember a few days ago I stood here and we talked about math with my colleagues, and the Republicans had 51 votes in the Senate. A democracy requires people to work together. The Senate decided not to do that, so we've ended up with a series of continuing resolutions. What I consider to be an absolute travesty of governance, where we have to fund the government in pieces, a month here, 6 weeks there. The last CR, we almost had a deal. It seemed like there was an arrangement we would have to move forward to fund the government before the shutdown. But I'll stress, some of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle in the other chamber decided to throw the kitchen sink at it, demand their entire legislative agenda be put into a CR. DACA, which we're hearing tonight, then they came up with pensions. There's one thing after the other of demands, using funding our military, funding our government, keeping the lights on as leverage for their political agenda. We have a basic function here. Keep the lights on. The second thing the Constitution says is preserve and protect our nation, which means we have to fund our military. But some have felt this is not necessarily a priority of theirs if they can't get the other things they want when they want them. We now have a bipartisan agreement that the Senate has sent over. It's far from perfect. I don't know as we'll ever see perfect in this chamber. In my 35 years of business, I rarely saw perfect, but you take progress and move on. What does it do for us? It fully funds defense at the level that Mattis requested so we can defend our nation against the threats we see and take care of our military men and women. It funds community health centers. I have 11 of them in my district. It provides 10-year funding for CHIP now, the Children's Health Insurance Program, near and dear to all of us. It provides a down payment on infrastructure that's badly needed in this country. It provides additional funding for opioid treatment in this nation, a crisis that we face. So again, I'm left to wonder why it is we want to defeat the rule, to turn down this effort, this bipartisan agreement, to add another agenda in there. Why would my colleagues want to do that? At some point in time, we take progress. The speaker's indicated we will deal with DACA. We'll also move on to dealing with infrastructure. We'll move on to workforce development. We've got serious policy issues to deal with, but the priority we have at this moment in time is to fund the government. We have a bipartisan agreement in front of us that has cleared the Senate. It is now 3:43. I suggest we simply pass the rule, pass it, and go home and get on with policy next week. I appreciate your time, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
Gentlelady from New York.